Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is our last Something Saturday video of the year on our channel. So I thought we would talk about some of the best movies of 2023, at least in my opinion. So let's jump right into it. Okay, so I could tell you the best and worst of the year, but a lot of channels are focusing on the worst of the year, the worst this of the year, the worst that of the year. And I want to create a vibe of positivity on this channel. I always have. So why would we address the worst when we can just focus on what is the best? So I can't, of course, tell you what the absolute best movies for you to watch are, but I can tell you some of the ones that have been successful this year and the ones that I rather enjoyed. So let's get into it. Okay, so let's start off with some of the most popular movies of the year that aren't necessarily all my picks for the most popular, but they're definitely worth noting because of their popularity this year. Then we'll get into the ones that I recommend. So first off, you have Rebel Moon, that is the #1 streaming movie on Netflix right now. And even though this movie does have its problems, it is still very much worth checking out if you are a fan of sci-fi. Now, we'll be talking a little bit more about that movie in the future because there are two more movies coming in that trilogy of movies, not to mention the director's cut. So we'll be talking more about that. But that movie, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you to at least check it out because it is the #1 streaming movie right now. Barbie was the #1 performing movie of the year. That's right, the highest grossing movie was the movie Barbie. And mind you, a lot of people saw this in unison with Oppenheimer, and that's okay. If you like those two movies together, that's great. Personally, I rather enjoyed the Barbie movie a lot more than I thought I would. But that being said, it isn't everyone's cup of tea. I found that there was a lot going on in that movie, and sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. But overall, it was the top grossing movie of the year. Next up, we have to talk about the Super Mario Brother movie because that movie actually defied expectations as well. A lot of people didn't think that that movie was going to make as much at the box office as it did. And that movie, of course, made a lot at the box office too, more than anyone thought. And I have to say, as someone who played the video games, it had a lot of moments, and there were a lot of Easter eggs from the video games, a lot of moments that felt like scenes directly out of the video game. And that wasn't a bad thing for that movie. It was done in a very cute fashion, and it worked for what it was. And then, of course, there is Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. And Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse came out, and it's another little animated movie that I actually rather enjoyed, but that's because I do enjoy my comic book movies and superhero genre movies, and I enjoy a lot of time travel and sci-fi elements as well, and this movie kind of had a lot of sci-fi elements thrown in, as we see Miles Morales, pushing through the Spider-Verse to meet a bunch of other variations of Spider-Man. And the movie could have been a little bit better, in my opinion, because honestly, I wanted a little bit more explained about some of these other Spider-Man. And I get it, there's only so much time in the movie, but there were Spider-Man that I felt like when we saw them, I wanted more time with, and we didn't get those. But otherwise, other than that, other than my one little nitpick, I thought the movie was pretty good, and you could do a lot worse than to watch that movie. And if you enjoyed it this year, let me know. Then you had Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which this time around we focus on Rocket Raccoon. But honestly, if you want truth be known, James Gunn had said that all of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies so far have focused on Rocket Raccoon, that this was his story to tell. And this movie, more than any of them, kind of slides into what Rocket's past was like. It deals with Rocket's past and how Rocket was created. There's a lot of flashbacks and there's some heartbreaking moments in the movie. And I know a lot of people had a problem with a couple scenes in the movie. And rightly so, because the movie at times was downright heartbreaking. It wasn't the feel-good one that the other previous two were. Although it did have a lot of humor that has become the norm for the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. So that was something to look forward to as well. But the movie did okay at the box office. It was actually the #4 movie at the box office this year. Now, I do want to talk a bit about the things that I enjoyed this year as well. And of course, I enjoyed watching Scream 6. Scream 6 for me was one of the best movies of 2023. I actually found it to be a lot of fun. I liked the fact that they went to New York. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I liked what they did there. It could have gone much more in the vein of, say, Friday the 13th, Jason Takes Manhattan, but that's not what they did. And that's not a bad thing at all. For them to do that and not have it go through that trap was excellent. Another movie that was a sequel that I rather enjoyed that surprised me a lot was Evil Dead Rise. Evil Dead Rise was really scary, and it took the Evil Dead franchise in sort of a new direction, while at the same time remaining somewhat true to what we knew. With that particular movie taking place in a high-rise and sort of going forward a little bit more with the lore that we already know, and giving us new lore in the future, that's going to be a fun franchise to follow into the next phase of whatever they do with it. Now, in terms of other movies that came out this year that did okay, that I rather did enjoy, that some people may not have enjoyed as much, there is also The Exorcist Believer. I actually found The Exorcist sequel to be quite good. I found it to be one of those movies that felt just nostalgic enough for me to enjoy it, but kind of took us in a new direction, which if you're going to wait that long to do a sequel, you might as well take it into a new direction, a la Ghostbusters Afterlife, sort of pass that torch to the younger generation, but while you're trying to remain true to what the film is about. With The Exorcist, they couldn't really remain true to what the film is about. It's about different exorcists, different exorcisms. So following that franchise going forward, I expect that maybe one or two of the characters we saw in this movie might get to return, but I'm curious to see if they can do something with that movie that's a little bit more crazy. Then there was Candy Cane Lane, which you all know from my Christmas videos. I rather enjoyed Candy Cane Lane. I thought it was a nice little film that really brought back some of the classic Eddie Murphy that I truly loved from the 80s. I felt like he had that magic again. A magic that I've only seen him have since when he was doing the voice of Donkey in Shrek. So if you haven't seen Candy Cane Lane and still want to check it out before the new year ends, that's another pretty okay movie to watch. Now, those are kind of my picks for the year, and I would like to give you so many more picks. There are so many other great movies out there that we could talk about, but we would legitimately be here forever. So I grabbed a few that I thought were kind of the ones that some of my fans might actually enjoy and might actually find something in. But in any case, if you've seen any of these movies, let me know what you thought. And also, what are your picks for the top movies of 2023? Because we definitely want to hear them. And if I haven't seen them, I definitely will be checking them out. As always, we want to know what you guys think. Make sure you leave us a comment in the comment box below letting us know what you think. Also, don't forget to share this video with all of your friends so they can be a part of the conversation as well. Make sure you hit that like button. It's free. It helps the channel. Miko says we need more subscribers. You don't want to disappoint Miko, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button while you're down there. And friends, at the end of the day, I know it, you know it, and Miko knows it. Fandom is family.